we'll be recording, which we are doing now. Can I get your name, please? I'm sorry? Okay. I'm hard of hearing, so I can't hear you. Sorry. What's your name, please? Yeah, you're absolutely right. So your last name is Todd. What do you go by? Caleb. Okay. Find the seat. Okay, you're one of the ones not on here. Good deal. Okay, I was just saying, I record everything that we do in class. And what that means is everything that's projected on the board and the voice, all the sound, is recorded in sync. And then later you'll be able to see that, hear it, and everything on YouTube video. Okay? I'll explain to you later how to access the YouTube video, but it's not, you can't do it yet because I don't have it quite set up yet, but it'll get there. By the way, since I'm guessing some of you are fairly new here at Lawson, are all of you familiar with Blackboard? Any of you not familiar with Blackboard? Okay, don't be shy. If you're not, let me know. So when you go to Blackboard and get in this course, there is a block in the upper left corner here with a bunch of tabs in it. Something like the second or third tab, the reason I don't know for sure is I only see the instructor side, I don't see the student side. But I believe from having seen a student do it before, somewhere near the top, there's one of those tabs that says content. Now, there's nothing in there yet, okay? As I said before, this is not the current syllabus. I thought I would be able to work on it yesterday. That didn't happen. By the way, I'm also the math department chair, and yesterday afternoon in the less than 2 hours I thought I would be able to work, I got an email from the dean saying that we had to man the help desk today, and I had to get a schedule to her because she had forgotten to tell us what day we were going to have last week when she should have, so suddenly it was my problem that we had to get one in a hurry. And the associate dean had emailed also and said he needed me to cancel low enrolled classes. So we had, so that ate up the rest of my working day plus another hour or two. So I didn't get this done, but I will get it done. But once you're in Blackboard under content, the syllabus will be there under syllabus. I'll also have research paper general instructions. We'll go over that today if there's time. Also, I'll put my locator card. That's where I am when I'm on campus, off campus, in class, office hours, lunch, all that kind of stuff. I'll put that there. It's also going to be on my door, but it'll be there under Blackboard as well. Okay? Then I'll put the PowerPoint slides for every section that we could possibly cover, probably more than we'll cover. Those will be there under content. So there will be a whole bunch of those. Then I'll put sites, websites that either I have found or other students have told me they found useful. So I'll put those there, okay? There'll be websites you can go to if there's something that you can't understand from the book and I made it even muddier and you say, what are they talking about? Then you can go there and see if you can get improvement clarity there. And then finally, I'll have the link to the YouTube videos. It's not there yet. Nothing's there yet. Because I don't even have the syllabus updated yet. But I'll go through and tell you much of it's correct. I'll just point out the things that are wrong. Number one, it's not spring, it's fall. Okay? So fall 2017. And this syllabus is good for mini-term 1. Now, this course is a full-term course. But at mini-term 2, my office hours change. So that's why I put the mini-term 1 here. And then at second mini-term, I'll tell you about the office hour change. And if I get around to doing it, I'll try to update the syllabus at that time too. It's a 3-hour course. The class meeting times are Tuesday, Thursday, 8 to 9:15. That's right. Bessemer campus, building A, room 255. All of that is correct. Okay? Here's my information. My name's Charles Fowler, if you hadn't picked that yet. My email address is cfowler@lawsonstate.edu. And by the way, the vast majority of the employees of the college, this is the email. First initial, last name @lawsonstate.edu. Not all, but most. There are a few, for instance, very common last names like Williams, and very common first initials like S, okay? Ms. Sharon Williams down in Financial Services, she was the second or third S. Williams in the system, so she's S.D. Williams, that's her middle initial. Down the hall, Miss Cicely Martin, math instructor, I think it's C.M. Martin or C. something Martin. So a few people have two initials and a last name, but most of us are one initial last name. There are a few, but not many, like Mr. King. I don't know if you've had him for either speech or English. He is Kelvin underline King at lawsonstate.edu. He just chose to have a different thing. He can do that. That's perfectly fine. But most of us are just simply first initial last name at lawsonstate.edu. My office is in 265. Now this building, as you may have noticed, the numbering is crazy. It kind of makes a little bit of sense if you make up a construct to make it make sense, but I'll show you where my office is. A few of you probably know this already. Here's where we are right now in this corner classroom. Okay, if you go out this door, take a left, go down that half flight of stairs, and go almost to the end of the hall. Don't bump into the wall at the end. Just before you get there, there's a stairwell on the left, and right before that stairwell is my office, 265. The numbering goes 255, 257, 259, 261, 263, and my office is 265. Between the mechanical room and the stairwell, that's my office, 265. Okay? Now, let me back up just a second here. The week in between terms, summer and fall, my wife and I were out of state. And the place where we were said free Wi-Fi. It was free, but it was low. Okay? And we could hardly do anything on it. So I didn't get any emails taken care of then. Then last week we were in meetings most of the week and registration, that kind of stuff. Got almost no emails taken care of. So I'm way behind on emails right now. And the way things are going, it may be a week or two before I even get close to being caught up. So if you send me an email, don't panic. I'll try to get around to it at some point. But then, you know, if you see me say, hey, by the way, here's what I sent you the email about. Okay, now, if you think that's bad, my phone, I think one person said, I don't think your phone's taking messages anymore, which is not surprising. That got completely out of hand, so I'm not sure if the phone voicemail is working now. But anyway, there's my phone number. So let me say this. Please don't call except when I'm in the office, okay? Because if you call otherwise, you're going to get frustrated because when I'm in class, I can't hear you, okay? I can't hear the phone because it's the other end of the hall, and even if I was next door, I probably couldn't hear it because I'm hard to hear it. But try to call during office hours, okay? Don't try to leave me a message because I don't know in which decade I'll ever get around to finding and listening to the answers. So please just hang up and try again during office hours. Wait a few minutes and try again. Now, this is my office on the Bessemer campus. On Fridays, I'm on the Birmingham campus. And are y'all familiar with Birmingham? Most of you? Okay. You know where the B building is. That's the academic building. And I'm in B122. But for most people, just ask anyone, where's Dr. Pruitt's office? Everybody knows where Dr. Pruitt's office is. He has a suite of offices in the corner, 122. His secretary is the first person you see when you come in. There's a copy room behind her. That's where my office is on Friday. Okay? There is a number there, this number here, but please don't leave a voice message there. That's somebody else's phone. Okay? There's a grant coordinator who works Monday through Thursday out of that office. That's her phone. She's not there on Fridays. That's why I use it on Fridays. So don't leave a message there because I can't access those messages. And then she'll come in and say, what is this? You know, so you can call me there on Fridays, but don't leave a message. Okay, again, office hours, these are wrong. These are for last spring, but I'll tell you what they are the best I can figure now. Okay? On Monday, I have Mondays and Wednesdays. I have an 8 o'clock class, a huge Math 100 class, and then I have a very small Calculus 2 class. Okay? It gets out at 11:10, so between 11:15 and 12:15, so that's the one little change here, 11:15 to 12:15, that's my lunch hour. You can contact me then. Okay? I bring my lunch most days, and I eat in my office most days, so I'll be down there, and you can call them and come by, no sweat. Then at 12:15, I have a Calculus 3 class that begins and goes until 1:55, and then from 2 o'clock until 3:15, I have a differential equations class. Okay, they're all small classes, those are, but from 3:15 to 5:15, that's correct. So the only thing wrong here is this should be 11:15 to 12:15, 3:15 to 5:15. Okay. Tuesday and Thursday, I have this class, big class. What is it? 1 or 2 desks open and several people not here. I don't know what's going to happen if they all show up. Okay, but we'll manage. We'll get desks from next door or something, or find a bigger classroom. Okay. Then I have right after this pre-calculus trig from 9:30 till 10:45. And then right now, and this is one reason I haven't updated the syllabi completely, is I don't know if the linear algebra class is going to make or not. It only has 2 students in it. If I can talk them into taking it in the spring, we're going to do that. But if someone needs it to graduate this fall, then I'm going to offer it. Okay? So I don't know about next. So my office hours may be 10:45 to 12:15, not 12:30, or they may be 12:15. No, I'm sorry. 10:45 to 1:15, or they may be 12:15 to 1:15. That's going to be, and again, my lunch hour is in there. That's going to be the only office hours I have on Tuesday and Thursday. Because right after 1:15, I have, at 1:15, I've got a physical science class. It's a mini term. So it goes from 1:15 until 3:45, and then the lab from 3:45 to 5:45. Every Tuesday, every Thursday for the first mini term. Now, when second mini term rolls around, the physical science 112 doesn't start until 3:15. So that will give me more office hours here. That puts me 8 o'clock leaving campus. So that's fine, except for my wife. She doesn't like that at all. Okay, and Monday through Thursday, I'm on the Bessemer campus. On Friday, most Fridays, I'm on the Birmingham campus. Now, right there, it says 7:45 to 1. I've got to figure out, what hours I need to be here. See, not only do I have to work a 40-hour week because I got an overloaded second mini term, I have to work extra hours for that too. So I've got to figure out how to balance that out. It may be as early as 11:45, or it may be as late as 1. I haven't figured that out yet. Enough of that. Here's the course description. I did not write this. No one here at the college wrote this. This was determined by a committee of the public 4-year colleges and universities and the 2-year college system, which again is public. And they decided if we taught this, you get credit when you transfer in-state public institution. But most of the private schools will accept it as well. And most of the surrounding schools do too, surrounding states. Pre-calculus, as the name suggests, consists of topics from algebra and trigonometry. This is the algebra part, 112, 113 is the trig part, that form the foundation of calculus. This course emphasizes the algebra of functions, okay? That's what we're going to start with. That's what we'll be working with the whole term, including polynomial, rational, exponential, and logarithmic functions. And we'll try to hit all of those. And the course also covers systems of equations and inequalities and quadratic inequalities. We may or may not get there, but we'll try to get as close as we can. Okay? Prerequisite, Math 112 has blah, 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 all this stuff, or you don't worry about the advanced placement tests and stuff. Basically, a C or higher in intermediate college algebra, Math 100 here, or you scored for it by whatever placement means you got here. In the old days, it was a test they called it asset or something like that. Then we went to Compass, then we went to the ACT, and now I think they use AccuPlacer. Whatever way they determined where you were to be done, if you were placed into this course, is fine. If you weren't placed here, you should have taken intermediate college algebra. Okay? So that's taken out. No co-requisite. The text, I got to update this because there is a new edition of which I do not have a copy yet, but I'll get one probably Friday. It's Pre-Calculus, 10th edition. Ron Larson is the author. Brooks Cole, Cengage Learning is the publisher. The 9th edition was 2014. My guess this one is either 17 or 18. They sometimes put the copyright date a year later after they publish it. I don't know why. You can have a TI 83 or 83 plus or higher, 84, any of those. Graphing calculator is fine. It's not required for the course. It will make some things a little easier to do, but it's not required. However, now I can't swear to this because most of the time I do the book orders, but this summer I had so many classes, my boss did the book orders, and he may have forgotten to put on the book order that the calculator was required, graphing calculator was required. The reason I do that is that if you have Pell Grant money left over, they will pay for it if I say it's required. But I think he probably put that, but I don't know for sure. Okay, please bring paper. If you've got it, graph paper. If you don't sweat it. Pencils. Now, I didn't write this syllabus. I don't mind if you use pen, but I'll make a confession here. It's confession time, by the way. When I do math, I tend to make errors. You'll see that soon enough. And so I like to use pencil. But if you're comfortable using ink, fine with me. I don't care. Okay? So bring that to class because we will be working. Okay? Now, this next paragraph is one I do not like much at all. But they won't let us change it. They said, this cannot be changed. Do not touch it. Okay? They just said this years ago, and it's completely out of date, but they don't let us change it. All Austin community college students must be trained in Blackboard and use Blackboard daily to gain access to vital course information such as the syllabus, and you will be reading the syllabus every day, won't you? Fridays and Saturdays, Sundays, yes, absolutely. No, I'm just kidding. Okay? I think it's a little overstated. But anyway, some instructors may teach through Blackboard. I don't. To me, it's a tool. I use it as a tool, and that's all. I don't let it dictate how I teach, okay? To gain access to vital course information such as the syllabus. Once I get the syllabus updated, it will be there, and you can read it, okay? Every day if you want to. But also, guess what? It's out there under content, but also under content is YouTube, and you can hear me talk about the syllabus because this is being recorded. It will be there as well, okay? So it'll be there in two places, okay? Handouts. Now, most of the time, if I have a handout, I'm going to hand it out. So I'm not going to put many handouts on Blackboard. Some instructors may, but I usually hand it out if it's a handout. PowerPoint shows. I've already told you, under content, you'll have the PowerPoint shows. Static. You can just print them out if you want to, take notes on them if you want to, whatever you want to. That's just a static form. But under the YouTube videos, which is also under content, you'll be able to go there and not just read the PowerPoint, you'll see the PowerPoint, hear me talk about the PowerPoint, and I can write on it. This is a tablet PC, and I've got an ionizing pen like they have at the grocery store. I hope this one isn't quite that bad, but you can, I will be working problems using the ionizing pen, and that will, everything that's projected. Now my hands, waving my hands, that won't be recorded, okay? Only what's projected on the board. Okay. So PowerPoint shows will be in two places, static under content, and then dynamic, I would say, under YouTube videos, which you can access through content. Okay. Activities. The school sometimes posts activities, put them on Blackboard. I can't think of many that we would be doing, but listen up. I do announcements at the beginning of class, and most of the time, I can't remember if I turn on this or not, but you may find some of those there. Assignments. Now, one assignment will be there. It's not there yet, but it will be. It's the research paper assignment. That for sure will be there. Now, I don't type out your assignments every day and put them on Blackboard. Okay, maybe I'm just too lazy to do that. I don't know. But I do, when we finish a section in class, I'll give you your homework assignments from that section. So it'll be there under YouTube video. You have to search for it, but it's there. Also, at the end of every class, if we're not through with a section, I'll tell you which of the problems we've covered so far. So there will usually be one or two places that I will be making the assignments, but it'll be through the YouTube video, not that kind of stuff. Announcements. Now, most of the time, I don't have any announcements. The school may have some, but if something does occur that I need to get you the word, I'll put it on Blackboard. Most of the time, I don't. This summer was an exception. I got an email from National Science Foundation telling about a grant opportunity that was going to be in Atlanta on a Friday and Saturday. And so if you have any classes on Friday, I said, yeah, I wouldn't mind going to this. If you want a team to go, I'll be glad to go. The vice president got it, and he changed it to New Orleans on a Monday and Tuesday. I said, I can't do that because I'm teaching class. He said, well, I didn't want to mess up a weekend. Well, that shows the difference between an instructor who's worried about classes and an administrator who's worried about weekends. Okay, so we wound up I had to miss class. I didn't want to go to it on a Monday, Tuesday, but I wound up doing it. So when that came up, I did send an announcement. So there may be things like that will happen. You may see announcements. Grades. I'll try to get your grades. Now, this is a big class. And as you noticed, on Tuesday and Thursday, I have basically no office hours except over lunch. So until second mini-term anyway. So the odds are I'm not going to be able to do any grading until Monday, Wednesday afternoon, 3:15 to 5:15. That's the only chunk of office hours I have on Monday and Wednesday and Fridays. So I'll try to get things graded as soon as I can, usually by Friday. So don't expect them too soon, but I'll get them out there as soon as I can. Now, I do not like this next sentence. It's so negative. Failure to use Blackboard could severely damage your ability to pass the course. What a negative statement. If I were writing this, which they don't let me change, I'd say the proper use of Blackboard could greatly enhance your ability to do well in the course. It's a lot more positive, and I think closer to reality. Now, this one's ridiculous. See the schedule book. We haven't had a schedule book in years. It's all online now, but they won't let us change this. And there's inside cover of that online. No. Okay. If you need training, if you need help in Blackboard, see me. I'm not a Blackboard expert, but if you need help, I'll either give you an answer or find someone who really knows what they're talking about. I do not like the last sentence either. Students should always check the Blackboard announcement page prior to coming to class. Why would they say that? Comma, in case classes have been dismissed, canceled. Guess what, folks? I'm not going to cancel class if I can possibly help it. I'm trying to be here every day. I try to be here on time, and I do not like to miss a class. Okay? Now, if something comes up like that, the vice president changing the meetings, yeah, I'll put that out there. So maybe for that rare, okay, that might, but frankly, I don't just arbitrarily cancel a class. Now, if I wake up one morning and am absolutely too sick to come, the odds are I'm not going to go in and say, honey, get my computer so I can, no. I may call, but I'm probably not going to put anything in Blackboard. If I get stuck on the interstate because of an accident, there's no way I'm going to be able to put it on Blackboard, okay? So I don't like that sentence. I'll get off of that. Okay, let's go on to student learning outcomes. Now, I want you to think back on the course description. Of course, you remember that. Yuck. And for those of you who have your text, you can follow along with this. Students will identify analyze, graph, transform, and combine functions. Functions, the algebra of functions. That's what this whole course is about. And determine inverse functions if they exist. And basically, that is chapter 1. Okay? Now, I haven't seen the table of contents for the new book, so you look and tell me if anything's different here. Sections 1, 2, and 3. Section 1, rectangular coordinates. Man, you should have had that in Math 100 or Math 098 or in high school or somewhere. So we're not going to cover that. If you have any questions about it, bring them to class. I'll answer them. Number 2, graphs of equations. You should have had that in Math 100 and in 098 in high school or wherever. We're not going to go over that. But review it. If there's anything you're fuzzy about, ask it. We'll go over it. Linear equations in 2 variables. That definitely was something you did in Math 100, Math 098, high school, wherever. So if you have any questions, if anything is, I know we did this, but I don't remember how, ask me. So one of your assignments for Thursday, go through sections 1 through 3. If there's anything you're in doubt about, anything you want to know about, bring it to class and I'll review it. Okay? We're going to start formally in 1.4. 1.4, 5, 6, and is this how yours goes? Okay, I didn't think. Here's my theory. I probably shouldn't say this. Why they come up with new editions every 2 or 3 years is because the publisher only makes money on new books. Once there's used books out there, they don't make any money anymore. So they make the authors do minimal changes. And so, sometimes it's just colors or other little things like that. And they make them do new editions just as frequently as they can get the authors to do it. It's a racket in my mind. So if you happen to have access to an older edition, this edition, or even a previous one, I don't think you're going to find much change at all. At all. So go with it. You know, that's why I have confidence teaching from this one until Friday. I'll probably be able to get the new edition because my boss usually gets those from the publishers, and he's on the Birmingham campus. Okay. But I don't like this publisher in general. I think they're expensive, and I just don't care for them. But this author is one of the best authors I have seen in years. And here's why. Your new book focuses on this. In the middle of every section, every time there's an example, there's then a checkpoint, okay? And the checkpoint is another example similar to the one he just worked out in the text for you to work out, but right next to it, it says audio-video solutions to the checkpoints in English and Spanish are at larsonprecalculus.com. All the online help you could need, okay? But not only that, in every exercise set at the end of every section, he says, see calccheck.com, another free internet source that you can go to, calccheck.com, for tutorial help and worked out solutions to the odd-numbered exercises. So guess what I give you as your assignment? The odd number exercises, okay? 2 reasons. Number 1, the answer's in the back of the book. So if you can't get the answer and you don't know why, then you can go to calccheck.com and see that tutorial help. That's without waiting till class. Now, if that still is making no sense to you when you come to class next day or catch me in office hours, I'll go over anything you need to do. So there's excellent source material available. This author's the only one I know that does that. And he's great with it. So I don't mind this book at all. It's pretty good. Okay. Get off that one. Okay. So that's chapter 1. 1-4. Oh, I was in the process of saying that. 1-4 through 1-9. Okay. We won't do 1-1 through 1-3 unless you have questions about them, and we won't do 1-10. Okay. Students will divide, find zeros polynomial functions and work with complex numbers. Okay? Now, I'm probably going to get away from the complex numbers a little bit because if you go back to the course description, they weren't mentioned. So what I'll do is just do a quick slideshow on it, but I'm not going to require you to do anything with complex numbers. I want you to be familiar with them in case you ever need them, but it's not under the course description here. So where are you guys going? I'll tell you about them, and I'll try to avoid them on tests, but I'll let you know in case you ever need them, okay? And that, by the way, is 2.1 through 2.5. Number 3, students will find domains and asymptotes of rational functions and analyze the graphs. That's 2.6. Is this following along right? Okay. And then students will graph and use the graphs of exponential and logarithmic functions, use properties of logarithms, and solve exponential and logarithmic equations. Now, sometimes we don't get to do all of that. We'll get as far along as we can there. And very seldom, but occasionally we'll get to, and by the way, that's chapter 3, 3.1 through 3.4. Okay? Now, we're not going to do chapter 4, chapter 5, or chapter 6. Read me the titles of those chapters. Yeah, it's all trigonometry. That's Math 113. So that's why we skip that. But then the next chapter 7, systems of equations and inequalities, right? That's we will do. So systems, students will solve systems of equations and inequalities if we get that far. Okay, if we don't, you had that in Math 100 anyway. So I don't feel bad about if we miss that. So that's the student learning outcome. Here are the competencies that deal with those. Okay? As I said, chapter 1, sections 4 through 9, identifying, analyzing, transforming, combining functions, and doing inverse functions. Now, I typically teach the course midway through a unit. This chapter will be the unit. So in other words, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. At the end of 1.6, I'll give you a quiz. So take home quiz, do it, get it back to me within a week. Okay? Why do I give you a week? 2 reasons. Okay? One reason is you always have one class period to come and ask questions. If there's something you don't understand. Now, is this a legitimate question? Can you work number 7 for me? My answer is yes, but I'm not going to. Because that's the quiz, okay? You're supposed to do the work. But here would be a legitimate one. Can you do exercise 15 from section 1.5? Sure, I'll be glad to do that. Even if that is something very similar to question 7 on the quiz. I'll be glad to do anything from the book. Now, if there's something that's confusing to you, I don't understand what this question is asking, yeah, I'll explain that. But I won't work a quiz question for you. But find something similar to it in the book, I'll be glad to work that. Okay? So that's one reason I give you a week. You always have one more class period to ask questions. The other reason is there's always a weekend in between. Because some of you, I know, may work, you may have really heavy schedules, you may have families and all that, and maybe the weekend is the only time you have to really focus on the quiz. So I always give you a weekend in between. Okay? Then, when we finish the last of that unit, this will be chapter 1, 4, 5, 6, quiz, 7, 8, 9. At the end of 9, you'll have a test which covers the whole 6 sections, not just the last 3, but all 6. So the first page of your test is not going to be the same questions as your quiz, but it'll be very similar, generally, fairly similar. And then the second page will usually be more stuff from the last 3 sections. So you won't have had a quiz on that one, but hopefully you've asked enough questions, you've done your homework, and it'll be fine. Okay, then chapter 2 will be the quadratic and polynomial functions, synthetic division. The complex numbers, like I say, I'll just go over that, but won't focus too heavily on that. Zeros are polynomial functions. That's 2.1 through 2.5, and then rational functions is 2.6. And again, after 2.3, I'll give you your quiz. After 2.6, you'll have a test. Okay, let me say this about the test. Okay, you'll probably forget it, but let me say it. For every test that you take in this class, you know, test. Okay, you can bring with you a formula and equation sheet. Anything you want to write on a piece of paper, you can bring with you to the test. Okay? Now, very seldom did I have that opportunity as an undergraduate, and occasionally as a grad student, I had that, but I found those rare occasions when a professor did allow us to have something like that. Boy, that night before, I was writing down, figuring how small I could read, organize, no, I don't think I'll need that, really synthesizing, putting together, and had all that stuff, and organized in a manner I knew where to look for it and stuff. And then when I went to take my test, I almost forgot to look at it, because I found out that was the best study practice I could possibly have done for that test. So I suggest for all of you, in every test you ever take, sit down the night before, the week before, sometime, do your formula and equation sheet. Now, if your instructor doesn't allow it, don't use it. I mean, I don't want you to be cheating or anything, but it'll be the best way you can study for a test. So I have you do that, or allow you to do that, just to form a good study habit, mostly. And then you can use it if you need it. Okay. Chapter 3, exponential logarithmic functions and their graphs, properties of logarithms, exponential and logarithmic equations. Again, if we get that far, halfway through that chapter we'll do a quiz, and at the end we'll do a test. I haven't always been able to finish that because I talk too much, okay? No, couldn't be the reason, could it? Not that funny, okay. Now, if we get time then, chapter 8, 7, remember we skipped 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 7, linear and nonlinear systems of equation, 2 variable and multivariable linear systems, partial fractions, we won't get there, I'm sure, okay? Systems of inequalities, okay? If we have a chance, quiz and test, never, I don't think we've ever done it. Now, there's one other, research and writing assessment. You will have a paper due in this class. We'll talk about that next, as soon as we have time to today, otherwise we'll do it next time. And then the overall student learning outcomes will be a comprehensive final exam. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. Now, how will I evaluate you? Okay, here's how. Now, I didn't write this. I wouldn't have put that first sentence in there. But a paper is required in the class, research paper. I did write that part. Most of the other instructors don't require that. It will count as a quiz grade, because guess what? It's a take-home thing. It's something you do at home, okay? So it counts as a quiz grade. And it cannot be dropped. That's the only quiz you cannot drop is your paper, okay? A take-home quiz will be given about midway through each of the units, whatever they are. They're usually chapters. The lowest quiz score, other than the paper, may be dropped. If it helps your average, I will drop it. Okay. The remaining quiz scores with the paper score will be averaged, and that quiz average will count as that quiz average can replace your lowest test score, chapter test. So if your lowest chapter test is lower than your quiz average, I'll take out the lowest chapter test and put in the quiz average instead. Make sense? Okay. Then the remaining, let's see, blah, blah, blah. That quiz average may replace the lowest test score. The test will be given at the end of each chapter covered. The lowest chapter test score may be dropped and replaced by the quiz average. The comprehensive final exam will be given. It cannot be dropped. It may count as either 1 or 2 test scores, okay? So the average of the quiz average, remaining test, and the comprehensive exam will determine your final grade. Now I would expect you to say, what do you mean may count as either 1 or 2 test scores? Here's the story on that. Your tests, obviously, are about our exams, right? Because we have an hour, 15 minutes, and by the time people get here, take roll and answer any questions you may have. I always try to give you at least an hour, as much more than that as I can. I even let you work over if you need to or whatever. Okay. So I don't want time to be the issue there. But anyway, that's about an hour test. Now let's go to the end of the term. Here's what most of the time happens. We get to the end of the term and the last stuff we're working on, there wasn't a chance to have a test on that. So the final exam, which is usually, it's an hour and 50 minutes, which is almost 2 hours. So what I do, your last test will be the first half of the final exam period, and your final will be the second half. So guess what? That's just a 1 hour test. Then it'll count as a one test score. If we finish everything, and this looks like a really bright class, so I'm sure we might have a possibility of doing this, and we get everything done, and the comprehensive is going to be a 2 hour final, then I'll count it twice. Unless, okay, here's another play. Even if it's a 2 hour final, comprehensive final, if that final exam grade brings you down, I only count it once. If it brings you up, I count it twice. So I do whatever it is that will help you the most. Okay? So even if it is, which is not likely, a 2 hour comprehensive, that's the only chance it could be 2 test scores, and then only if it helps you count it twice. And I will, but the odds of that happening is pretty low. Okay, sorry about that. Your grade breakdown, 90s are A's, 80s are B's, 70s are C's. It don't go here, but 60s are D's, and anything less than that is an F. Don't go there, okay? Students are expected, okay. And by the way, well, I'll go to this one. Try to be here every class. We cover a lot of material, not today, but most days we will. If you can't get here regularly, now I do record everything. It's not as good as being here because guess what? In here you can ask a question. At home listening to it, you can ask as many questions you want and no one will hear you. Okay, it won't do you any good. So you can come in and ask me questions, but try to be here, okay? I think that's going to help your grades. We talked about this in faculty meetings, and just about across the faculty, you can almost pick out what the grades are going to be by looking at the attendance sheets, because if you're here, usually you're going to be able to get the material better. Okay, if, however, you're not going to be able to attend class regularly, I had a student this summer, I won't call any names or anything, she wasn't a Lawson student, she was a transient student, who, it was just a really sad story. She was pregnant, she was in an abusive relationship, she had to move to Florida to get away from that, but she didn't want to drop the class, so she was trying to send me the stuff and follow it on screencast, on YouTube, trying to do all that. I'm sure she dropped 2 letter grades, but she passed, and she said that's all she was after. So you may be able to do it, but if she'd have been there, she seemed like a pretty sharp student. And in the middle of the term, or toward the end, she actually delivered the child. So, and then she lost a week or so in that. So it was really rough. And like I said, she didn't do as well as she probably could have, but she chose to do it. Okay, so being here really helps. Makeup work. Now, with take-home test, your paper, all that kind of stuff, makeup work really doesn't make a lot of sense. But those tests, it does. If you can't be here for a test, okay, please let me know ahead of time if you can. Now, I know emergencies could happen. That's fine. So I usually give you at least a week to make up a test, okay? Now, if any of you are on, say, National Guard or reserves or something like that, and you have to be gone 2 weeks in the middle of the term, sure, we work with you on that. You can follow things. If you got internet access when you're doing that, come back and we'll let you make up. But otherwise, try to get it done in a week, if possible. Because guess what? I can't return either a quiz or a test until I get them all in. So if you're the one person who's holding up the rest of the class, everyone can see what they scored. It'll be on Blackboard. You can come look at your test, but I can't give them back to you until I get them all in. So please don't be that person who is holding up my returning everybody else's test. Okay? So please try to get it done within a week. You are allowed to drop one major hourly exam if you can't do otherwise. You can't drop that. I suggest you try to work on them all. Lateness, I will try to begin. Today was somewhat exceptional. Thursday might be because it's still first week of class, but I'll try to start class on time. and you'll let me know when it's time to leave, won't you? Okay, never mind. Okay. Now, discrimination and harassment. Now, most of you are new here. I'll go over this, but if you've been here, you've probably heard this every class you've ever been in. Let me summarize this. The college doesn't condone it. We don't tolerate it. That's written several times here. Is not, will not be tolerated. Down here, is never tolerated. Okay, get the idea? So if you sense any type of discrimination or harassment, and frankly, I've been here, I'm on my 20th year now. Actually, I finished my 20th year. I'm on my 21st year now on this campus, okay? And I have seen close to zero, okay? But if you see something, you see, people may hide stuff from instructors or administrators or whatever. If you see something, please let us know, because we want to nip it in the proverbial bud. We don't want it happening here. If you even suspect it, let us know, okay? We deal with it fairly, but we deal with it quickly. We don't want it to happen. The closest thing, and I don't even think this falls in it, is like my second or third year that I was teaching here. I was teaching automotive math. We have a really great automotive department. And I was teaching a special math class for them. And there's this one, and they were mostly fresh out of high school. And some of you may be fresh out of high school, but we get on this campus a lot of non-traditional students as well. And this kid, obviously his dad was making him go to college because he sure didn't want to be there. And he was doing automotive because he thought, well, I like cars, but he wasn't, from what I heard later, any good at that either. But he was just bored silly. He was mostly silly. And one day at lunch, he just decided to walk over people's cars in the parking lot. I mean, he wasn't discriminating or harassing anyone in particular. He just decided to walk across cars in the parking lot. Someone saw him, yanked him down. He was in the dean's office within minutes, and he was off campus not shortly, a short time thereafter. We've never seen him again. Now, it was fair, everything was done well, but that kid didn't belong here, and it was dealt with. Well, discrimination and harassment doesn't belong here either. So please, if you see or sense anyone being discriminated or harassed, bullied, let us know. We don't want it to happen here. Now, let's talk about Americans with Disabilities. As I've already told you, probably ad nauseum, I'm hard of hearing, okay? So I'm sort of sensitive to the disabilities, not that it's a major disability for me because I can hear, but we are very careful that we do take care of folks who do have some type of disability. Dr. Renee Herndon is on this campus most of the time. She heads up the Office of Disability Services. Here's her phone number. She's, like I said, here on this campus. I'll show you where her office is. This is Janine McCoy on the McCoy-Jones on the Birmingham campus. There's her number. You can visit with either of those. You can go to the college's website. You can request a meeting online. If you don't want to meet in person, we'll do whatever it takes. But you have to go through them. They are the experts. They are the professionals. They send us what their assessment is, whether you need more time on test or whatever, use of calculators. Everybody gets to use calculators. Whatever it is, we try to accommodate. I had one student early on in the first 5 or 6 years I was teaching here. He had had brain surgery for a tumor of some nature. I don't know if it's malignant or not, but they seem to have gotten it all. But in the brain surgery, they damaged his hearing, the otic nerve or whatever. So he was very, very deaf. He had all sorts of things. He had a tape recorder sitting on the corner of my desk, and when he got home, he could crank that baby up as loud as he could do and follow along. Perfectly fine. Whatever it takes, we will try to accommodate. Okay? Now, on this campus, the counseling services for this is a building, first floor, student services wing, real close to the front desk when you come in there. If you go there, ask them for the ADA counselor. They'll put you right to Dr. Herndon's office. On the Birmingham campus, it's the Leon Kennedy building, which is where the cafeteria is, the police are, those kind of stuff. But it's up on the second floor near the Space Center. and you can see the ADA counselor there. Now this college calendar, obviously, is his last spring's college calendar. I've got the fall calendar done. I just don't have it copied into here. I'll get that done. I can't swear I'll have it done by Thursday, but hopefully I'll have it done by next week. Okay, I'll try to have it done by Thursday. Okay, the course schedule. You can look at this. Well, you can't access it now. Yeah, you can go to YouTube when this gets loaded. And this will follow pretty much. The days are different, but the first class, second meeting days, these are the same. We will pretty much follow this. We probably will get behind this. Because I have this theory of mathematics teaching. You got to get the basics. I don't believe in rushing through and following a schedule. If you're not getting what we're talking about, how are you going to cover anything else? Yeah, you're not. You're just going to get hopelessly far behind. So I'll slow down if it's necessary. I already am too slow. And we'll cover things. And if we get a little behind this, I don't worry about it. Because I'll give you the basics and you can figure out the rest. You know, and if you have questions later, come see me and I'll help fill you in on that too. But I think I'll give you everything you need. Like I said before, I teach the upper level classes, so I know what you need. I'm going to try to make sure you need it. You get what you need for those classes. All right, and then the final page here is acknowledgement form. Once I get the corrections made, get it on Blackboard, if you will then either print this page or fill it in and email it to me, either one, just acknowledging that you have heard the syllabus, you've read the syllabus, you understand it, you don't have any questions. Right now, are there any questions about how we're going to do the course or anything else? Yes?
What format is your test?
A little louder.
What format is your test in?
Okay. Let me start with the quizzes, and the tests are very similar. Problems, do work them out, and fill in answers, okay? I like to see the work, because by seeing the work, I can give partial credit. If all I got is an answer and it's wrong, all I can do is mark it wrong, okay? So I like to see the work. I'll try to give enough room on the page to show at least some of it, but you can use the back of the page, you can use additional sheets or whatever. But it's all problems. It's not multiple choice. It's not, it's working problems and giving me answers. Is that what you meant by? Yeah, I figured it was. I know in Math 100, the final exam is multiple choice, and then one thing of short answers. All mine are short answers. Okay, I don't like multiple choice. I mean, I like them fine, but I can't really tell if you're understanding it or if you've just got real good math intuition, which is nice to have, but you may not understand what you're doing and still get right answers. So I'd rather you understood it. Okay? I'll look at tests as just being part of the learning process. Okay? So, any other good question though? And by the way, always ask questions. Always. Yeah. Next time, we didn't quite finish everything today, so next time remind me when you come back on Thursday. We'll start with the research paper, try to get that done pretty quickly. I don't do anything quickly. Okay, then we'll talk about safety. That's usually a good thing to do at the first of the term, so you'll know what to do if you're in this classroom and something happens. So we'll go over that. And then we'll finally get to real recalculus algebra. Good deal. Any other questions? Good deal. Looks like a great class, and nobody else came in since we called roll, right? Look forward to seeing. By the way, I found it pretty interesting when I was calling the roll. Just about everybody, all the paid students look like they're here, and the few people that weren't here look like they're mostly unpaid, so that may or may not mean they are going to continue in the class, but way to go, folks. Keep coming. Like I say, if we fill the classroom, we'll either get more seats or go to a different room. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's perfect. I don't think there's enough difference. From what she said, it sounds like it's exactly.
I'm sorry. I'm about to ask about the textbooks.
Yeah.
And,
this is the old edition. You want the new one or the old one?
I'm not sure.
There's how the new
It's
one.
loose leaf, and it also comes with this. I was gonna
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I should have said that. I wish you would have asked about that. Well, remind me next time.
Okay.
I don't use WebAssign, but I can set it up for you so you can use it if you want to. But just let me know if you do. because to me, I spend more time trying to help people figure out what WebAssI is doing than teaching math, you know, and that's just backwards to me. So, and this book has all these resources available to it, so I don't even see the need for WebAssI with this. But if someone likes it, wants it, it has some good stuff in it, videos and things like this. This guy has videos.
The bookstore just have the brand new.
They have the new
and
one.
they don't have the old one.
No, they don't. Now, if you're on Pell Grant, usually Pell Grant covers the book from the bookstore, but if you buy it outside, then you have to cover that. But yeah, you can usually get them online. You can get them. You can rent books. You can do a whole lot of options there. So you don't have to have that new edition. If you
I haven't
choose
had
not
math for a long time.
to.
With the book, you think it's enough information for me to read?
Especially this guy with all these additional things,
Yeah.
I'd say it would be a nice thing to have.
Okay.
But that's up to you.
Oh yeah, I do need that, but I just wonder if they have some of the chapters just kind of review from something that.
Oh,
prepared
previous
for this
books.
book, yeah.
Oh, I can probably get you some Math 100 texts that are in my office that we didn't adopt.
Okay.
So yeah, if you'd like to
Go
come
back
by and get
to that.
those,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
I'm in 265. I'll be glad to go.
Yes.
Yeah, so right now, my only office hours to speak of are Monday, Wednesday afternoon, 3:15 to 5:15.
Yes.
But you can come during lunch any day or any other.
Yes, sir. Because I've done high school for a very long time
Yeah.
ago, 1994, and then I finished my
Hey,
degree.
look, I'm so old. That seems recent.
Yeah, I just like, and I was transferring all my
Right.
credit from my country, from New
Right.
Zealand, from wherever. that
Vietnam?
I've been. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. And I finished business finance at UAB,
Oh,
and
nice.
this is the only course that I need to have to get my degree.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why I said I have to get this done so I get my degree.
Right.
But
Well-
the math is like long time ago. I just like.
Yeah, but you've been doing finance. You're up to date on
Yes, sir.
that pretty much. But yeah, things like functions, you may not have used that too much, but yeah,
Yes,
you'll
sir.
pick it up pretty quickly.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'll see you.
See you Thursday. All right, what a good looking crowd coming in. Good morning. Oh, yuck.